Hi guys, it's another curious episode of the Big Tech Show. My name is Benjamin Dada. I'm right here in Victoria Island, where I'll be speaking with one of the biggest fintechs in the country. Who am I speaking with? Akeem Lawal, Divisional CEO, Payments Processing at Interswitch. Come with me for an exclusive interview. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Big Tech Show. I'm here with Akeem Lawal, the Divisional CEO, Payment Processing at Interswitch. Akeem, say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Okay. So I grew up learning about Interswitch, right? I'm pretty young, and it's that payment company in the beginning, right, that has enabled a lot of people like Paystack and Flutterwave that people know now, right? So my first question is, how would you define Interswitch? What would you call Interswitch, right? I believe the people who saw you at the beginning will define you separately from people who saw you at the middle stage of your journey to people who are now meeting you now, right? So what's that definition of Interswitch that you think will capture all that you're about?
Wow, I don't know how to answer that question, but if I was, it comes directly from what we set out to achieve at the very beginning, right?
Okay.
We wanted to build an infrastructure, we wanted to build a platform that enables others.
Okay.
Right? We wanted to create the rails on which people can build products and services that solves problems in the payment systems. We wanted people to be able to come up with innovative ideas, to ride on the innovative ideas that we bring to empower themselves and empower the communities around them. And we wanted to do that not only in Nigeria, but across Africa. So I would say we're building the rails or the platform on which people could also build.
Nice. And you have some of your own products
as well. Yes.
Yes, as well. So what was that thing that made you team up with Interswitch? Because you're a founding member, right?
Yes,
so what was that thing that initially made you team up, and what was that thing that's kept you all these years?
Well, it's actually the same thing, and it came from a conversation I had with Mitchell, the group managing director today, many years ago.
Yes.
It was around all of the problems that we have in this country and on this continent. Who was going to solve it?
Right.
We grew up in a time where everybody felt, okay, maybe the government will solve it or someone foreign will come and solve it for us. But I think going to school together, and we kept talking about this, the problems in this country is we need to step up and solve it.
Right.
And one of the biggest problems at that time was this problem really around payments.
Okay.
Right? At the time, we're talking about this, you couldn't come into Nigeria with a card and pay your hotel bills, right? You needed to come with a bag of money.
Right.
Yeah. Or rather, you came with your cash and then they gave you a bag of money when they exchanged it for you, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't travel out of the country, you needed to get traveler's checks, right?
Right.
And it didn't seem to make a lot of sense, especially when we're seeing ourselves as the giant of Africa.
Right.
How is it that we didn't have a payment system to match that aspiration, right? So I think the driving passion then and now was, how do we take this part of the problem that this country and this continent is facing and fix it, right? And that's what we've been doing ever since. Every single innovation or product or service that we've delivered over the last few years, it's really around solving a problem and building the products to solve that problem.
Another thing that comes to my mind is, how have you managed to stay relevant these 20-something years, right? Many companies start out, they become so big, right? And they're unable to keep up with the pace of innovation. So they either end up as dinosaurs, right? But every now and then we're hearing something from Interswitch. Recently, there was a quick teller commerce solution,
business, yeah.
right? So what are some of the maybe 3 things that you and the management team has kept in mind as you went along in your journey? How did you manage to stay relevant all these years?
I think that there are many reasons, but if I was to pick 1 or 2, I'll start with, I think we have the best people, right? We had a philosophy from the beginning when we started. If you think back, this was early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
GSM just came out, there was no payment infrastructure. What that meant is that there were no people with skills or experience.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So what we did was we went out into the universities, into the market, and found young, bright, intelligent people, and we trained them.
Right.
And we've kind of kept that philosophy in terms of how we recruit and how we bring in people into the team. So I do personally believe, I know all companies say this, but I do believe that we have the best people.
Right.
And we've managed to continue to attract excellent people over the years. The second really is, I think we've been focused on what we've set out to do.
Right.
I think a lot of businesses tend to build a product and then focus on the product, but we focus really on the vision. What are we trying to do? We're trying to build a payment system. We're trying to use that payment system to empower people, whether they're businesses or corporates or individuals, and we're trying to do that across Africa.
Right.
What that means is that every time we come into a roadblock or a challenge, we're looking back to the vision, not necessarily to the product or service. I mean, there are many products that we've built that have been spectacularly successful,
Yes.
but there are many products that we've built that have failed.
Yes.
Right? But we've taken the learnings from those and we've built new ones. And I think that ability to adapt and continuously move forward is probably the biggest reasons why we're still here.
Nice. That's interesting. I know, like, you focus on payments and processing.
Yes.
Right. How would you see, or how would you explain the evolution? So at some point, it felt like cash was going away.
Yes.
And then maybe cards were coming in. Yes. And at some point, people said, you know what, cards and this are not enough. I want to pay with my bank account with the Nubank, right? And now we have QR, we have USSD. Like, how have you literally watched these payment channels and methods evolve?
So if you remember before Interswitch, what people were using was this electronic POSes, where you had to go and load money before you could spend it, right? So that was kind of like the first cards in the market, which solved the problem but didn't scale. I mean, since then, we've issued debit cards that are linked directly to your bank account, which people could use at ATM. We expanded that to be able to do point of sale, so you could pay at a merchant.
Right.
We introduced internet commerce, or e-commerce in this market, offering it to people like the airlines at the very early stage, where you could buy a flight ticket to Abuja for 5,000 naira at some point, because it made so much sense. And then from there, I think what really drives this is you find that people become more and more sophisticated the more you provide them with more and more products, right? So initially, the EPOS cards were fine, but then they wanted instant access to their cards. They didn't want to load. So somebody solved that problem, Interswitch, by giving them a debit card. Right. Now, we don't want to carry a card. We have our mobile phones. Why can't we pay with our phones? And then somebody solves that problem, and then people start to use their phones. Yeah. What are we going to see next? We're going to see, and we are already seeing, people paying with their face, people doing transactions with their voice. Yes. We're currently working on a project where people just need to touch a device and they can pay as well. And we will continue to see those evolutions as customers become more and more savvy and more sophisticated in what they need to do. Right. Where I'm hoping we will get to is where you don't even need to think about it, right? Your phone knows it needs to be topped up. Right. And then it calls Airtel and tops up your phone.
That's some brain-computer interaction. What are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies, right? And blockchain technology. Do you think that as we've lined up cash, card, and all of that, that would be like maybe the next thing to pick up in payments? And when it comes to regulation, imagine if you were on the regulator side, what would you be doing at this time to enable the space?
Okay.
Right.
It's a complex question.
Yes.
I'll break it down.
Okay.
So I do believe that the technology that cryptocurrency is based on, which is blockchain, is the future. It's future forward tech, right? Yeah. It's tech that is going to transform a lot of things, right? Everything from payments to banking, to agriculture, to healthcare. It will transform, literally, it will transform everything, right? And I know the regulators are in big support of blockchain, right? As a distributed ledger technology to accelerate a number of these areas or sectors, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so let's put that aside.
Yeah.
Then there's cryptocurrency, right? And the cryptocurrency space is really diverse, right? The most popular one, obviously, is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But at my last count, there were probably a couple of hundred different cryptocurrencies out there doing different things. And the basis of each one is kind of different.
Yes.
Right? Some of them are safe, some of them are not. Some of them are economically good for the country, some of them are not.
Okay.
Right? And I think as you begin to try and piece through all of that, you kind of need to begin to think about what will a regulator be worried about, right? And their circular is quite clear. They are worried about the safety of consumers. They are worried about your investments.
Yes.
And then they're worried about the impact of cryptocurrency transactions on the economy.
Yes.
And their access to the liquidity in FX and all this kind of things. Right. So those are the things that the regulator is worried about. And you're right. The regulator did watch this for a while before they eventually took action.
Yeah.
Right? If I was the regulator, I think the only thing I would do in addition to what they've already done is begin to engage. And I know they're beginning to do that. Right? Yeah. And that engagement will do two things. It will help to educate the public, but it also help to educate the regulator as well.
Yes.
And then they will begin to maybe separate the good crypto practices from the bad crypto practices and be able to set regulation accordingly.
Yeah. What's your stance on working with fintechs, new age fintechs, especially the ones that maybe want to play directly, maybe at payment processing level, and all of that. Yeah. And do you feel like at any point you're going to phase out some of your products that you feel like maybe some of these fintechs are already doing very well and focus on some of the things you're already winning at? I already have some things in my mind.
I can imagine. I'm hearing your mind.
Yes.
Think, yeah.
So first question is, what's your stance on partnering, collaborating with fintechs?
That's a really easy question to answer.
Okay.
Really easy. Because, again, if you remember, when I started, I talked about what Interswitch is, right?
Yes.
We wanted to build the rails for others to run.
Yes.
Right? So it's built into our DNA, right, to facilitate the growth of fintechs.
Yes.
Right? That it's our DNA.
Yes.
Right? We build our platforms in such a way that any fintech, from really small to really large, can take a service from us or use our platform to build and scale their business or their product. Right. So it's fundamental to how we run the business, and I run that part of the business. So that strategy is really, really important to me personally, because I actually think it's the only way to scale what needs to happen in this country. Okay. Right. The second half of the question, really, maybe the second half of my answer, is to understand why we continue to think about it that way. Okay. Right? We had one of the consultants do a survey for us a few years ago. Okay. And basically what they've said is that the penetration of payments, digital or electronic payments, compared to all of the payments happening in Nigeria today, is still less than 10%.
Right, I can imagine.
Right?
Yes.
What does that mean? Just think about that for a second. It means that everything that Interswitch has done for the last 20 years, NIBS, Paystack, Flutterwave, all of the banks combined, we are still barely doing 10% of what needs to be done. Right. Right. How do you close the 90%? Right. Interswitch needs to grow, but everyone else needs to grow as well. So the opportunity is just too massive, and we haven't even started looking outside of Nigeria. Yes. Where the same problems that we have here exist everywhere. Right. Across the continent. Right. Right. So again, the reason why for us it's really important that we continue to build our platforms to enable others is to allow that penetration to to escalate.
Yeah.
Will we take a view at some point to take some of our products off the market?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a commercial decision, whether
Yes.
it's based on competition or just based on the markets didn't respond to a particular thing. I said earlier on that we have taken decisions from time to time. Some products weren't working, we took them out.
Okay.
Right? But understand this, right? One of the reasons why we built products initially,
Yeah.
right, was because we needed to show what was possible.
Yes.
Yeah, we needed to demonstrate that yes, we have these rails, yes, we have this platform, but it is possible to build products that actually solve real life customer problems, right? Yeah. And as long as those problems exist, we'll continue to build products and we'll continue to innovate.
Okay, so
but we'll continue to allow others to do the same as well. It's what Mitchell calls a live and let live strategy.
Okay, so there's this interesting trend that started around 2018, right? Everybody was trying to do chatbots. I know from like an industry speak is maybe robotic process automation, right? And there are a few companies that have been playing in that space. For instance, Leo by UBA, Tamada by Access Bank, and then some other solutions. So, do you feel like every bank is going to do that at some point, right? And I don't know if you have a view into the adoption. Do you feel like people are getting on it, or do you feel like it's something that might fizzle out?
Okay, well, you've kind of touched on my current favorite subject.
Oh, nice.
I think if I wasn't doing Interswitch, I would probably be either studying or building products around AI and robotics, right? So I do feel, right, that what we've seen so far are kind of like the early startup products that are leveraging on this technology. We've talked about a few of them. Where I do believe, and I know a few banks are working on this now, where I do believe that innovation is going to come from, really is in around automating the back end. Right. And I'll give you an example, right? Today you use your mobile banking app. And you have a wonderful experience to do your transaction. Okay. The minute your transaction has a problem, yeah, what do you have to do? You pick up the phone and call contacts. Why? Why do you have a digital product and a manual
customer relation? Yeah.
Right. It makes no sense, right? So I do know that a lot of the banks are beginning to think about how do I make the experience of the customer digital from the beginning to the end. Right. So we are seeing more and more projects which customers will only experience when they start to go on those journeys. That are automating the back office, making it easier for you to log disputes so you don't have to call a contact center. Make it easier for you to verify your transaction statements. Digital onboarding where you don't have to walk into the branch and talk to anybody. Right. And those products are the products that will be digital first, digital only. Right, as we go into the future. So that's where a lot of the innovation will come from. Where we will then evolve to, I think, is what I talked about earlier, where AI and the back-end robotics are actually predicting what you're going to do and doing it on your behalf, right?
Right.
So we, for example, are working on using AI to improve what we're recommending to you on some of our digital products. Right?
Nice.
And it's not new abroad, but it will be innovative here, right?
Yes.
If you go on Netflix today and said,
recommend that system,
you, right? People like you also watch, this is what's trending in Nigeria today. Amazon does it.
Yes.
Right? And 40% of their revenue comes from those recommendations.
Right.
So we will begin to see that happening to also help to improve how products and services are recommended to you. But where we will end is your diesel tank runs low and automatically dials your diesel supplier to come and fill back your tank. Right? Your phone goes low and it automatically dials Airtel to top up your phone. That's what we're going to do.
So that's interesting. If I segue into one of your most popular, most loved consumer products, QuickTeller, right? It has been consumer based so far, and now there is a business version. The first question is, people always like to move from known to unknown, so they will probably try to compare with what's in the market, or they say, so the person has a store, why are you doing? So my question is, what led to Quick Teller business? Why now and not earlier or later, right? And what's the future plan for it?
Yeah. So Quick Teller business is, it is one of the new products that we've launched into the market, and I'm very excited about what it can do.
Okay.
Because last year was difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, for most people.
Yeah.
We had a lot of customers who suffered.
Right.
Yeah. Depending on what industry you were in, you had a really hard time of it. Apart from the medical situation, the economic, the business.
Yeah.
Right. But some of the people that suffered the most, we felt, were small businesses. Right. SMEs who really didn't have an opportunity to carry on, so to speak, when there was lockdown, where there was restriction in movement. And during that period, as Interswitch, we did a lot, but one of the things we really wanted to do was to see how do we make it possible for these millions of people who are hustling.
Right.
Maybe selling stuff on Instagram or selling something in their small community. How do we bring them online? Right. How do we give them a simple platform to be able to come on, put their products, and then be able to sell to a much, much bigger audience, right? So that's what we did. And we thought through what are all the things that they would need, and we built it in. But more importantly, we then thought, how do we connect these people to the customers that we have?
Right.
So you have millions of customers on the consumer side of Quick Teller.
Yes.
And those customers are looking for things to buy.
Yes.
Right? So how do we bring these SMEs, this big business, small businesses, and kind of put them on the same platform where they can begin to get access to almost like a ready market.
Yes.
Right? So not only do you allow them a platform to bring their business to life, but we also bring customers to them. Right? And that's what we've done with Quick Teller business, right? And that platform now has a roadmap of features and functionalities that we're going to be rolling out over the next couple of years. And those functionalities are really trying to also continue to solve what we're seeing as the problems for small businesses, mid-sized businesses, big businesses. Right? Where are we going from there? It's time for Africa.
Yes.
It's time for Africa. So we will be taking Quick Teller business into all the markets where we play. We'll be starting with Kenya and Uganda during the course of this year. And then we'll take it from there.
Man, that's really interesting. I can already imagine in my head how like those businesses on Quick Teller business can be like billers on Quick Teller consumer. That's fantastic. Okay, it's been an intense and insightful session with Akeem Lawal, the divisional CEO of payments processing at Interswitch. Before I let him go, I'm going to play a little game and see what he likes and what he prefers. Are you ready? Okay. So, don't waste time. 5 seconds. Choose an answer. Right. Apple or Android?
Android, open.
Computer games or physical games?
Physical games, exercise.
Right. Text or call?
Call. I like to hear people's voices.
I see. Boat or plane?
Plane. I want a private jet so I can go to the Bahamas on holiday.
Nice. And finally, digital watch or analog?
Analog. They're way cooler.
Oh, wow. You broke my heart. Thank you very much, Akeem, for your time today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to your office.
It's my pleasure.
I look forward to catching up with you outside here.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been an exciting time with Akeem Lawal, Divisional CEO, Payments and Processing. Stay tuned for more exciting interviews with big tech giants. The only constant thing is evolution. We went from cowries to cash and card, and maybe the inclusion or exclusion of cryptocurrency. Today on the Big Tech Show, we spoke to Akeem Lawal from Interswitch, who took us through cryptocurrency and its regulation. Stay tuned for more exciting conversations with big tech giants. My name is Benjamin Dada. See you next time.